What makes a beer both simple and revolutionary at the same time? What's behind that golden glow and that clean, refreshing sip we often take for granted? Today, we're diving into one of the most influential beers in history, the Pale Pilsner beer. All that and more right here on History of Simple Things. We begin with the basics. Pale Pilsner beer is a type of pale lager, a beer that's light in color, clear as summer sunlight, and refreshing in every sense. Unlike darker ales or richly malted beers, a Pale Pilsner is crystalline, often golden to pale straw in color, with carbonation that makes it sparkle like soda pop at a picnic, and a flavor that's clean, crisp, and easy to drink. It's one of the cornerstones of modern beer culture. But why Pilsner? The name comes from the Czech city of Plzeň, anglicized as Pilsen, in the present-day Czech Republic. That's where it all started in 1842, when a brewer named Josef Groll first brewed what we now think of as Pilsner Urquell, the prototype of all pale Pilsners. To understand why this beer mattered, we need to step back. Before the 19th century, most European beers were darker, cloudier, and top-fermented, wild, inconsistent, and full of flavor quirks. In Plzeň, however, local brewers wanted a beer that was both reliable and superior in quality. They had soft water, excellent barley, and access to Saaz hops, noble aromatic hops from nearby Žatec, known for their floral and spicy notes. They brought in Groll, who used a different fermentation method, one that was slower and cooler, letting the yeast settle at the bottom of the tank, a process called lagering. This bottom fermentation at cold temperatures brought clarity and a cleaner flavor profile to the beer. When this new beer was first served in Pilsen in October 1842, it was a sensation. For the first time, people saw a beer that was golden, brilliantly clear, and crisp, not the dark and cloudy drink they were used to. The beer's hop bitterness was balanced yet noticeable, and the malt character was subtle, a backdrop rather than the main show. That clarity, that balance, and that refreshing finish were something entirely new. Soon other brewers took notice. Prague pubs started serving Pilsner, Vienna embraced it, Paris imported it. By the mid-19th century, Pale Pilsner was spreading throughout Europe and eventually across the world. Some breweries even registered the name Pilsner beer to protect the identity of that first golden lager. So what defines a Pale Pilsner today? At its heart, it's a lager, which means it's fermented with bottom-fermenting yeast at cooler temperatures than ales, producing fewer fruity esters and a cleaner taste profile. Its color, thanks to pale malted barley, ranges from very light straw to bright gold. The carbonation is high, giving a lively, fizzy mouthfeel that feels like bubbles dancing on your tongue. The hop character is typically noble, floral, spicy, and peppery rather than tropical or citrusy, and it finishes with crisp bitterness. Importantly, while the original Czech styles tend to have a little more malt depth and a slightly more rounded bitterness, German Pilsners often push bitterness a bit higher with noble hops and maintain a drier finish. Whether Czech or German, though, the idea is the same: simplicity through balance. By the end of the 19th century, Pilsner didn't just describe a local Czech beer, it became a category of beer. Brewers from Denmark to the Netherlands, and later North America, adopted the style. Even in America, breweries began making lighter, pale lagers inspired by Pilsners once refrigeration and modern brewing equipment made consistent cold fermentation possible. This spread had a lasting impact. Today, as many as 9 out of 10 beers consumed worldwide trace their lineage to that original Pilsner style. Many modern light lagers, the beers most people think of when they say beer, are, in one way or another, descendants of the Pilsen Pale Pilsner. Let's talk flavor, because tasting is believing. When you take a sip of a good Pale Pilsner, the first thing you notice is the crispness, that snap of carbonation and clean finish. The malt presence is modest, often described as biscuit-like or slightly sweet, but it never dominates. The hops lend a herbal or floral note, and the bitterness lingers just long enough to make you eager for another sip. It's a beer that doesn't overwhelm, it refreshes. Because of this refreshing profile, Pale Pilsners became incredibly versatile. They pair with everything from grilled meats to light salads and are perfect for warm weather drinking. They work in social settings that call for something uncomplicated yet satisfying. That combination of simplicity and drinkability is part of why Pilsners became the world's most popular beer style. Now, it's important to separate the craft idea of a Pilsner from the industrial pale lagers many people know from commercials. Mass-market beers that are labeled as Pilsner might diverge from the traditional recipe, sometimes using adjunct grains like rice or corn to lighten the body further and make production cheaper. But the essence of a true Pale Pilsner still lies in its clear color, bottom fermentation, noble hop balance, and crisp finish. There are also variations in the theme. For example, in Italy, brewers have taken the classic Pilsner concept and added their own twist through dry hopping, giving subtle hop complexity while keeping the clean Pilsner base. These modern interpretations show how flexible the style can be while staying true to the core idea of simplicity and drinkability. So when you crack open a Pale Pilsner today, what are you really experiencing? On the surface, it's a simple beer. Pale color, refreshing taste, moderate alcohol, and easy drinkability. But beneath that simplicity is a long history of innovation, brewing breakthroughs, regional ingredients, and centuries of refinement. It's a beer that changed how the world drinks and taught brewers everywhere that sometimes the most impactful ideas are the simplest. For many drinkers, Pilsner is the gateway beer, the first lager they try, and the one they return to again and again because of its balance and versatility. Few styles can claim both everyday appeal and enduring historical significance. Pale Pilsner can. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.